Recorded live from Studio 12A in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. You're listening to the Josh and Friends Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends Podcast. I am your host. My name is Josh. And this week, we are here to talk about two 80s classics. In today's matchup, going head-to-head, we have the 1986 films Iron Eagle and Top Gun. And we're going to break down these two iconic pictures and declare once and for all which fighter pilot movie from the 80s is the best. So, joining me in today's discussion are two highly qualified, top-notch experts in 80s Cold War propaganda films. Please, give it up for Mr. Lee Olson and Ethan McDonald. Woo! Here we go. You guys ready?
So ready.
Lee and Ethan, how are you guys? It's always good to see you.
I mean, I'm all right. Yeah.
Good. Good. Ethan, how about you, man?
How about you guys?
I am awesome. I'm like the road of a gypsy.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So, all right, man. Well, hey, let's get right into this. So we are here today to review and discuss two iconic films that were both released in 1986. And this was a primetime era for movie watching for, you know, guys like our age. I mean, we were like what? Like 10, 11 years old, something like that. So this is like the prime movie time watching for us adolescent boys. All right, Ethan?
Absolutely. Especially if you were raised by HBO and Cinemax, as I was.
Yeah, again, yes.
You were lucky. Yeah, you were lucky. I had none of that.
Oh, man. Oh. Well, how many times do you guys think that you've seen these two movies since 1986 when they were released?
A lot.
Lee's actually doing like a count in his head.
Well, no, I was trying to think of which ones, because mine kind of ebbed and flowed. But yeah, a lot. I've seen them both a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll say this, Top Gun's a hell of a lot easier to find, and it seems to be like, what was it,
Right.
TNT or TBS used to play that thing like ad nauseum.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Iron Eagle's a little tougher to find.
Even doing the research for this, it's super easy to find Top Gun. It's on Netflix. But Iron Eagle, I had to go to my DVD.
Yeah. Does anybody know what DVDs are anymore these days? So these movies were both released during the Cold War era in the 80s. So, you know, I mean, there's a number of movies that are similar to like this kind of propaganda kind of like movie genres, right? So like, I mean, what other kind of movies like come to mind when you think of like the mid 80s, like
Red Dawn.
Like
Red Dawn.
Yeah. Red Dawn.
Spies Like Us.
Yeah.
Yep. War Games, Rocky IV.
Gotcha. Anthony Edwards got you. Remember, he's like East Berlin, and yeah, that was awesome.
Yep. Even Rambo, First Blood Part 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break down these two films by category. We're going to give our takes on the different aspects of each and give our thoughts, and then we'll select our personal favorites, you know, out of the two movies. So we're just going to have fun with it. So, all right. As assigned homework, we did all rewatch these films just so we could get like a better perspective, feel for these movies. So you guys did your homework, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Happily. It's some of the best homework I've ever had.
Yeah. True.
Good. All right. So first up, we have Iron Eagle, released on January 17th, 1986. And this movie clocks in at just under 2 hours with a budget of $18 million. And it ended up taking in $24 million at the box office. And it actually generated an additional $11 million in home video rentals or sales, probably a combo of the two. But this movie was originally intended to be released in the summer of 1986, but it was pushed up pretty far into January because they didn't want to avoid the confusion with Top Gun that was going to be released later that year. Ethan, what is the plot of this movie?
Okay, well, you've got this kid, this hot shot, kind of, you might even say kind of a little bit of a jerk named Doug Masters, right? And he's an Air Force brat, and you get the sense he lives on the base, and he's got this rivalry going with these kids that are clearly not Air Force brats. There's a part of this too that I love that almost comes on like the Goonies, because once his dad is shot down in some nondescript Middle Eastern country, which you got to love. Literally, his little brat pack of like other Air Force brats helps him do intel, along with the help of this Colonel Chappie. I think his last name's Sinclair or something like that. Maybe I got that wrong. Yeah, Chappie Sinclair. And Chappie, played by the great Louis Gossett Jr. What a fantastic actor. And man, they put together this plan to basically ignore military orders, infiltrate enemy airspace, and get his dad back from this Middle Eastern country, like I said, with children running it, which must have given the enemy tons of confidence in the United States of America. But that Goonies feel of like kids can accomplish anything, it's like, it's that 80s theme that's so damn fun. It's just so awesome of like, why watching this, something like, damn, I could do this, man. I mean, like I was totally swept away in the 80s watching this. This is part of the reason why I love this movie so much.
Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, the cast is all there, it's pretty solid cast. I mean,
it really is.
They have Jason Gedrick. I think this is like the first thing I recognized him from. I don't know. There could be some other movies that he did earlier, but Jerry Levine as Tony, which, he's always going to be Styles in my view, right?
Styles. Team Wolf, baby.
I mean, is Styles like the coolest, like best friend in 80s movies? I think it's got to be up there, right? I mean, he's got to be in the running.
I mean, Booger is up there. Better Off Dead.
Better Off Dead, Booger. I was thinking the same thing, Lee.
What about from Ferris Bueller?
Oh, yeah.
Cameron.
Yeah. Cameron's legit.
But are they in several different movies? I know that Styles is, the best friend in a couple of movies in the 80s. Can't believe we're veering off to this. This topic here, but no, Louis Gossett Jr. is amazing, right? This guy is just killer. What an awesome casting job by putting Chappie in as the that guy was amazing because he was in what was it, Officer and a Gentleman before that, and he's just solid, man. He ended up being in like 100 other Iron Eagle movies. I feel like this movie kind of like ruined his career. I don't know. He made a good living, though, right?
I think while we're talking about the cast of Iron Eagle and sort of the obscure people, aside from Lou Gossett Jr. and Jason Gedrick, I have to throw the shout out to Shawnee Smith. I had the biggest crush on her.
Yes. Yes. Explain who that is.
She was probably in like one or two movies after that. I don't think she even had much of a career. I don't care. I had the biggest crush on her.
One of the two sisters?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I know which one you're talking about. She's super cute.
Yeah. I was reading up on that. Didn't she she ended up being in like the Saw movies, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, which is crazy because that came out like, I don't know, 15.
So what we're saying is that being a bit part actress in Iron Eagle was probably the top of the mountain for her, and then it fell off.
There's a lot of those, man. There's a lot of those. Then which one I thought was interesting is they had Robbie Rist, who played Milo, who's the stereotypical nerd guy that basically is responsible for all the technical stuff and getting everything behind the scenes getting done there. Yeah, he played Cousin Oliver in the Brady Bunch.
Wow,
the really super annoying kid at the very tail end of that show. I know Ethan was a huge fan of the Brady Bunch. But then who else was is anybody else notable in that movie?
Josh, I paused the movie and I said, Riker, come here. Who is this with the heartthrob, the girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh my God, it's Jan Leviston Gold. And the fact that Riker could tell that from just her smile on her face, even 20 years, 30 years ago.
That's crazy.
Pretty impressive.
Wow. Wait, and so how would he know who that is? What is she?
Because he watches The Office, and she is Michael Scott's boss / love interest.
Yeah.
No way. I didn't even realize that. That is crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So actors who were considered for these roles, Morgan Freeman auditioned to play Chappie Sinclair.
That would have been legit.
Yeah. And Emilio Estevez was considered for the role of Doug Masters.
Yeah.
Good. No, Lee's not a big fan of that one.
I mean, I could see it. I mean, it wouldn't have been terrible. It's just...
There's a couple of Karate Kid connections on this. So Rob Garrison and Larry B. Scott. Both previously appeared in the Karate Kid as students of Cobra Kai at the dojo.
Isn't Rob Garrison the one in the back of the airplane when he was talking about Nacho made me do it, man?
He's always like,
I think he's the one that's in Karate Kid. Nacho made me do it, man.
Yeah.
Get the leg, Johnny.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know if it's exactly him, but I think he's on Cobra Kai. I think he is.
Put him in a body bag, Johnny.
And then in the show Cobra Kai, which first season of that is amazing. The rest of it's pretty decent as well.
Pretty good.
First season is amazing.
Yes.
Johnny Lawrence is seen watching Iron Eagle in several episodes of that show.
Yes.
He's a big fan. Yeah. He's a big fan. Yeah. So Lee, you could probably speak more about this. The planes that they had to use in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know about the?
Yeah.
The
well,
planes?
I was gonna talk about this. I mean, like a little bit later. There is definitely a difference, and it kind of actually made it part of my favorite versus second place thing. So I don't know if we want to talk about that later, but yeah, it's basically Air Force versus Navy aviation, but it's also sort of a generational thing because they had the F-16s, which were Air Force, and they're still flying today. And those were in Iron Eagle, the F-16s. And then in Top Gun, they had old F-14 Tomcats, which are awesome, but they were retired almost immediately after Top Gun was made. They were just an old airplane. But I think it can't go without mention. The F-14 Tomcat was the basis for the Transformers jet toy.
Starscream.
Yeah. And that can't be ignored in how to decide which one of these is the better movie. Yes. See, that's an F-14 Tomcat with the swept wings and that's based on an F-14 Tomcat. Yeah. So that's right out of Top Gun. They watched Top Gun and they're like, we need to make this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Air Force during the filming of this or pre-production, they wanted nothing to do with Iron Eagle. And you
wonder why?
Yeah, because they break all the rules. Dad brings his kid up in the airplane. Kid steals airplane. Come on.
Right. Yeah. So they had to film this in like Israel or something, right? Yeah, with all their planes and stuff. That's why they kind of look different too. You're like, what? This doesn't kind of look right, but I'm going with it. I'm a kid. I don't care. I don't
Israel, I had no idea.
Well, unless you're a kid that like Lee is like literally building, paper airplanes.
Oh, I had these models. No, I had the models, dude. Because back then we used to. I don't know if kids do models anymore. Probably not. But like you build all these. I definitely had the Iron Eagle models. I didn't do a Top Gun model.
Oh, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Because somebody did it for me as the Transformer. So I didn't need to. But yeah,
that's amazing. All right, so the music of Iron Eagle. The Iron Eagle main theme, it's all right. It's pretty good. It's okay. But the other music in this movie is pretty damn solid. It's pretty. It's one of the. I always say it's one of the better soundtracks of the 80s as far as capturing the era, and it's like a lot of rock and stuff like that. What do you guys think of the music in Iron Eagle?
Big fan. I'm a big fan. You mean when you got One Vision by Queen?
Yeah.
Come on, man. That song, it's
amazing.
Movie, the
way they use that in there's like a couple scenes they use that in, and it's killer, man. And when, especially, I don't think it's in the official soundtrack, but when they use that "Gimme Some Lovin',"
Spencer Davis Group.
Oh, right. Jesus Christ! It gives you like chills.
Those two scenes, they always remind me, looking back, of like when somebody interviewed Quentin Tarantino about sort of songs and music in movies, and he said that sometimes you get a scene just right and it changes how that song is perceived forever. And I think he used the one from Reservoir Dogs, Steelers Wheel song.
Yeah.
But in this, I don't think anybody, maybe if they were alive before, or, sort of listening to the Queen songs and the Spencer Davis Group song before Iron Eagle,
right? Maybe
they have different memories of it. Everybody else in the world, if you hear that beginning to One Vision, you're in that airplane with him. You're like,
it's amazing.
And then
the way they use that
need
too.
To go bomb some shit, you got Spencer Davis Group. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, basically he's like, when I think of that, I'm thinking of Doug about to fuck shit up because they just pissed him off, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. No, those two songs are forever linked with that. They won't be anything else for me ever.
Right. And of course they have Road of the Gypsy.
Oh God. To me, that's just that filler crap 80s generic that just drives me insane, but you gotta kind of love it.
I love it. I was so sad to hear Ethan hates it. I wanted Ethan to love it as much as I do because it's so cheesy and shitty.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really cheesy, but and
so
it ends. The ending of the movie too has like a good like din 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 din. It's like it's pretty good too. You know, it's perfect. Like
so 80s.
Rolling
It's so
credits.
perfect. And that song has like a saxophone solo in it, and like I don't know, the music in that movie was so 80s, so perfectly 80s.
You've got Twisted Sister in there though. With We're Not Gonna Take It, which you gotta love. You've got some James Brown. I mean, come on. I mean, there's so many sneaky tracks that are snuck in great places, like when they're doing the intel, because Chappie loves his old soul, right? His old R&B, and there's this. I don't know. There's some really fun stuff. Yeah.
And Josh, you may know this. Somebody has to bring it up. How old was Steve Winwood when he did that song? When he sang that song, which by the way, he sounds like a 50-year-old,
like 15 years old or something.
He was 15 when he sang that song.
It's
crazy.
He
sounds like a polished
black guy.
Yeah, it's incredible. When I learned that, I was like, "What are you talking about?" The 15-year-old sang this because I was like, 11 watching the movie. I'm like, come on.
I like how in this movie how they kind of give him crap for playing music and stuff. I'm like, and I'm like, that's kind of a serious thing. You're like up in a plane, trying to concentrate. And they're like, turn off that music, boy. Like, he's just
a $30 million jet. I'm going to go for a cruise, put some music on.
Like our kids today in school, though, man, they're always listening to music. Like when I'm trying to teach, like, would you take your freaking earpods out before I slap them out of your face?
So listening to music while you're teaching?
Oh, they claim they're not, but I just I kind of run a tight ship. So
do you guys want to hear some of the reviews of the initial reviews of Iron Eagle?
Please.
So this is great. So film historian and reviewer Leonard Maltin said that the movie was not boring, just stupid. Kevin Thomas of the LA Times called the film ludicrous, preposterous, and a total waste of time. A total waste of time. And Joe Kane of Phantom of the Movies said that Iron Eagle boasts the hottest rock score of any war film since Apocalypse Now. And he added, just forget the picture and buy the soundtrack album released instead.
Critically acclaimed.
Yeah.
That's honest. That's a pretty honest review.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah. I mean, look, again, I'm sure this movie is way cooler to people like us for our generation that were like kids watching the shit, especially this movie. And then, to 30-year-olds or something like that, or even 40-year-olds that were watching this.
Well, I think it's what Ethan said. It's the Goonie factor.
Yeah.
Like, this is all about like a group of teenage kids getting together to solve the world's issues. Like, what's the global geopolitics and problems in the Middle East? Don't worry, these 6 teenagers can figure it out.
Yeah,
like, that's a Goonies thing. Like if you're 30, you're watching this, you're like, what the fuck?
But you always got to give it to
that kid out on the tarmac. He wouldn't be able to do that.
You got to give it to those directors though that can like actually, picture that in their head and like put this shit together. Right?
You could argue that's something that's missing right now though too. It's like there's not movies that are aimed at kids like the way they were in the 80s towards us. We had so many great sci-fi. We just watched that one that's on Netflix now that what's his butt from Canada? Ryan Reynolds put out the Adam Project.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. That was pretty good. Yeah.
It's pretty fun. It was entertaining, but that was the reason he did it. He goes, I remember all those movies that inspired me as a kid. He goes, we don't make those movies anymore. It's all about appealing to a bunch of other people. He goes, I want to make a movie that appeals to those kids. And for the credit of the 80s, man, there were some incredible movies that were meant just for us. Like I think of that weird Explorers movie, like Ethan Hawke would like make a little like craft and like put it in Norb and they're going around into. I mean, there were so many weird things that if I showed them to my son now, he's going to go, what in the hell is this?
Yeah, totally.
But for us at that time, I was like, these are magical, man. I mean, that was just wild, fun stuff.
Well, and I also noticed like today, they don't make movies that sort of empower kids, that tell them, like you said, oh, you can do anything. Don't worry if these are mastermind criminals or international terrorists, you got this. It's cool. Now kids are kind of told, well, if you're not born into being a superhero, you're kind of fucked. And I don't know.
Well, every movie is a superhero movie now.
I know. And you're either a superhero or you're not. You can't really just, do some push-ups and become one.
Well, this movie was kind of like a superhero movie where it's more kind of like an Iron Man movie. Yeah.
He puts the work in. That's the difference is these guys put the work in to sort of go save the day. And the kids all work together and do all that stuff. None of them just got bit by a spider and were able to fly an F-16.
Hey, Nobody put as much time into that flight simulator as Doug Masters. Nobody.
He stayed there so late, he kicked Chappie out. Yeah.
True. And by the way, didn't you guys want to? I wanted to go in that sucker when I was watching this movie as a kid. I was like, oh man, it looks so awesome, dude. Like, I want to go in there. And then they would have they have those video games like at their
Afterburner. I mean, Afterburner was basically a Top Gun video game. Right. It kind of moved around and stuff. They used to have that at the Family Fun Center.
Yeah.
Lee, when we came to visit you this last summer, man, we went to that museum of science and industry, and they had a flight simulator. And I'm like, oh, Riker, you're going to that.
Oh, that's
you're
awesome.
going in because you're living my dream.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You get in there. It's like, I don't know about you. You're like, just get in.
I think I weighed too much for it. So
that movie actually scored a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes from the top critic reviews. And it actually has a 57% rating from the audience. So sounds about right. I mean,
that's about right.
Those are probably the critics that give 99% to like whatever the fuck Marvel 10
Hollywoodland or whatever. I don't All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to the next. But we'll talk a little bit more about these movies, but we got to go over them first, right? So, Top Gun, the movie Top Gun, released on May 16th, 1986. This movie was clocked in at an hour and 50 minutes, so right around the same time as Iron Eagle as far as running time. Budget for this was $15 million, which is crazy. It's less money than freaking Iron Eagle.
I didn't have to go to Israel. That's the reason.
Yeah, right. Probably, right? But the difference is the box office. This sucker, $357 million in the box office. The highest grossing movie of 1986 of all the movies that came out. This was the highest grossing movie. Lee, for those who are not familiar with this movie, what is Top Gun about?
I mean, it's about, a young hotshot naval aviator who kind of lives outside the rules a little bit, but he has clear talent. But he's trying to run down sort of the shadow of his father's past. His father was a naval aviator and had some issues and things were classified, but he had a bad reputation in the Navy. And so his character, Tom Cruise's character, is named Maverick appropriately because he's a maverick. He stays just outside the lines, but clearly talented. And this movie's about flying, and it's about friendship, and it's about brotherhood, and it's also about the love interests and all that stuff. It's a little bit more. It's a better written movie, I think, in terms of character development, and I think that had a lot to do with its success. It actually focused on the characters and kind of what they were after. And we also have to remember in the 80s, there were no wars. Like, we weren't at war. In fact, up until kind of the end of the 90s, if you joined the military, you couldn't plan on doing anything. Like the top of the heap was you get to go be an instructor at a school. So, and that's what this movie kind of goes to is, he ends up at the school, the Top Gun school in Miramar, California, the one that determines who the best naval aviator is. Because that's the only way they could do it back then, is they just didn't get in wars. And so they had to go practice around in the desert.
Right.
A lot of stuff happens in this movie, but that's sort of the short version. A maverick aviator is sort of trying to chase down the shadow of his father's legacy in the Navy.
Ethan, the cast of this movie, it's
epic.
pretty star-studded, right? I mean, they had I think this movie, a lot of people really got big from this movie, right? I mean, Tom Cruise had already been in a couple of pretty decent-sized movies, but this made him the biggest, sought-after guy in Hollywood, pretty much, right? I mean, think of his career after this movie. It's just insane. I mean, it has Tom Cruise as Maverick, Kelly McGillis as Charlie. And it's funny. I thought, in the movie, like, how much older is she supposed to be in this movie?
She creeps me out, Josh.
Ethan, I looked this up and she's only like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years older or something. I thought she was like way older. Like,
that's what it feels like.
But I was like, she's not that much older. Like,
it never felt like that to me, though. I felt like she was like 5 or 6 years, like late 20s, maybe 30.
Well, it's funny. I didn't when I first saw her come onto the film when he's going up to her in the bar. I don't think about that kind of stuff when I was a kid. I was just like, oh, it's just some chick, some attractive chick with some puffy hair, and
Some puffy hair.
Just to show you what a dirtbag I was, even at this young age. And I saw this in the theater. My Aunt Jean took me to see this in Canada. And I'm sitting there going like, oh, they could have found someone way hotter than that. I was pissed. I don't know what my problem was.
Right?
I don't know what my
She's
problem
not like
was.
a 10. She's not, it's not Bo Derek or anything.
Dude,
like
I'll take Meg Ryan in a heartbeat, man. Goose had it made.
Well, okay. So now Michael Ironside is in this movie.
Tom Skerritt.
Tom Skerritt.
Yeah, Lee, don't you have a story about Tom Skerritt?
We're
right?
not going to make it through this without telling that Tom Skerritt.
You want to do it now?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the biggest regrets of my life, honestly. It might be. I mean, look, I've done some dumb shit. This might be the most regretful moment of my entire life.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was a security manager at the Space Needle when we were opening his 50th anniversary. It's a few years ago, like 2013, whatever. And we opened the Chihuly Garden and Glass Museum next door. So I ran the security, or at least I was one of the managers that ran the security for both the Space Needle and Chihuly Garden and Glass. And we had like kind of cool gear, we had the in-ear headphones and radios and all the stuff. And we were doing a private party at Chihuly Garden and Glass right when it opened. And I was one of the few that had the radio. I could get to everybody on the radio because I was, the guy that they all had to listen to or whatever, which was a dumb idea anyway. But I was standing there at this party, and from a room behind me, a dude walks up and he just gets into my view right in front of me. And I realize it's Tom Skerritt. And it was one of the few moments in life where I had it cocked immediately. I was ready. I had it there, and I could have put over the radio, holy shit, it's Viper. But I thought, nah, you got to be professional. You can't do that. Whatever.
Lee, how many times do you have stories like this? I was just trying to be professional. It's
too many. No, stop being professional. Stop. Just fucking say it. Like if that would have got me fired, that would have been a noble way to end. Like, Lee, you were doing a good job, but then you went over the radio and you're inappropriate and said, "Holy shit, it's Viper." When Tom Viper, when Viper walked by,
and Tom Skerritt would have loved it. He would have hurt you in a way.
Oh, he would.
F yeah.
He and I would have been friends that instant.
Did you say anything to him?
Holy shit, it's Viper.
Did you say hi to him?
No, I didn't. I stayed fed. I think I nodded to whatever, and because there were other other people there and whatever, and I'm not starstruck really by anybody, but I had that thing. It was there. I could have said it, and I didn't. And it's the worst thing I've ever done or not done.
He's awesome in that movie because he really looks the part. Actually, all these guys are pretty spot on as far as being really, really well cast. Yeah. It's definitely a different type of movie. And Meg Ryan, does anybody come off more likable in this movie than Meg Ryan? And she's not even in the movie a lot. She's hardly in the movie, right?
I would argue maybe Wolfman. I love Wolfman too. Yeah. So Wolfman and Meg Ryan might be the two most likable.
Yeah, but she's just like, it's a big reason why casting directors saw her and said, dude, she's got it, man. We're going to put her in a ton of shit. And
true.
You're just happy. She's lighting up the room, right?
Yeah.
So actors who are considered for the roles, the list for this is completely insane. There's way too many to even, basically every single person who is of the age of the Maverick, type.
Well, answer this, Josh. Wasn't Val Kilmer considered as the guy to be Maverick, but then was given Iceman, or is that a myth? Because I thought I read that somewhere.
I'm not sure. It's possible. I just know that, the list of actors who turned down the role of Maverick is crazy in itself. You had like Patrick Swayze, Emilio Estevez, Nicolas Cage, and John Cusack, and Matthew Broderick.
Wait, what?
Sean Penn. That actually, it looks like he could be like but it still wouldn't be. Tom Cruise just has that, had that look, man. He just had that dark. I do like that they had him wear like lifts for his scenes with Kelly McGillis. Where I
didn't know that, but it makes sense because he's super short.
Yeah, so they had him wear these lifted cowboy boots so he wouldn't, roll his ankles or something like that. And then she wouldn't wear any shoes during their scenes.
So how tall is she?
She's 5'10", I think. And he's, I don't know what he is, like 5'6".
5'6".
Yeah, he's like 5'6" or 5'7".
Yeah.
He's like the Kipster. He's like Brent. He's just a little thing.
Yep. Just sit right on your lap and sure.
Shut up.
Michael J. Fox, Scott Baio.
Scott Baio would have been awesome. Something Nicole Eggert could have been in it because that'd have been.
Oh yeah, Scott.
I'd have been all in for that.
Eggert. Yeah,
imagine what the box office would have been then.
And then actors who were considered for the role, whatever that means, they're just like, yeah, you know what? Let's write down this name. I don't know. Jim Carrey. Carrey.
That's just made up.
He was even acting then.
Right. Wasn't Earth
like 86?
I don't know.
Maybe
Rob Lowe, Kevin Bacon, Eric Stoltz.
I could see how all those sort of Brat Pack kids could have been because they were hot at that time.
Right. Robert Downey Jr., Charlie Sheen, but he was, I guess, considered to be too young for the role. But he later went on to do the spoof comedy. What was that?
Hot Shots.
Hot Shots, yeah.
And Hot Shots Part D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then John Travolta was considered for the role of Maverick, but his agent was asking too high of a price. And they were like, dude, weren't you like just in a few like recent Bond movies? This ain't the late 70s, man. This sorry, man. Yeah. Sorry.
That would have been bad.
Yeah.
It would have been Broken Arrow or I don't know.
Yeah, he's terrible.
He's just disgusted. All right.
Do they have any other possible casting?
John Travolta he's terrible, right?
Yeah.
Oh, John Travolta?
He's terrible at everything.
Pulp Fiction. I liked him in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, because
but that's just because they said just go be yourself, feel like a weird, creepy, dude with a ponytail. He's like,
he does it well.
Yeah. But see, the fact that I did know about Val Kilmer was that he didn't want to be in this film, but was forced to by contractual obligations.
Ooh.
But it actually ended up being a good thing because it's one of his most iconic
it's fucking Top Gun.
Yeah. And that's the reason Jewel stays with Lee is due to contractual obligations.
Exactly.
So we know something about that.
Look, every once in a while it works in your favor. Val Kilmer, you just need to roll with it, bro.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah. So we were speaking of how Meg Ryan would have been better as Charlie, I guess, or Nicole Eggert. But I guess Ali Sheedy turned down the role of Charlie. Ali Sheedy.
That would have been a weird one.
Because she didn't think that anyone would want to see a movie about fighter pilots. It's like, who wants to be in
Wrong answer, Ali Sheedy.
Yeah.
She later regretted the decision, and then she went on to do Short Circuit. What do you think of that?
She made the right call.
Yeah.
Because people love robots.
Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
My favorite.
I love Goose.
He ended up actually dating Meg Ryan for a while after that movie. They actually became a real item there.
He's so lovable in that movie. That Sarah was kind of watching it with me the morning when we were at our Airbnb on a little spring break vacation with their son, and she's like, he just makes me smile. He's just so fun and so believable. I mean, once again, the casting was awesome.
And he goes from the nerd in Revenge of the Nerds to that role. It's pretty awesome, man.
But he is still the nerd, right? He's the nerd of the fighter pilot
world.
He's
nerdy.
I mean, he's the Rayo. He's
not like
when they're having their homoerotic volleyball game. Notice he's the only guy with his shirt on.
Yeah.
The fat kid.
He's not a jock. It doesn't matter if he's in a new movie. He's not a jock.
Oh, that's great.
Just saying.
Lee,
he's not an alpha beta.
What do you think of this one? The actors who were considered for the role of Viper, John Voight. What do you think of that?
He might have been able to pull it off. I don't know. You just need kind of that old, not even old, just sort of like just about retirement age, grizzled fighter pilot. He could have done it.
He could have done it. I still think that Tom Skerritt really looks like the part.
Well, because of the mustache, right? Yeah. I mean, if we're being honest,
he can grow a mustache. Tom Selleck.
I don't know. I mean, Tom Skerritt was the perfect choice.
Yeah, because Tom Selleck was already Magnum PI, right?
Sure.
So you're like, hey, look, it's Magnum. You don't want that. Hey, look, it's Magnum PI. Walking out, kind of like when Fonz walked out on Scream. Everyone's like, hey, Fonz.
And I think you need somebody that nobody really knows is an A-lister because he has to be the quiet guy that Maverick and the other guys are like, you know, who the fuck is this guy? We're better than him. And then he, you know, just goes and eats their lunch.
I think that's what makes
quiet,
this
but
movie work so well, right? I mean, none of the actors on here, some of them are, you know, some of them are big actors prior, but not huge, right? Mm-hmm. Not monstrously huge actors where you're literally having that effect of, you see, like now, if Tom Cruise is in this movie now, probably wouldn't work as well because you're like, hey, it's Tom Cruise. It's that guy from Mission Impossible and 100 other movies.
And Top Gun. Yeah.
All right, so the music of this movie. What do you guys think of the music?
Well, it's Kenny Loggins, who I think by contract has to do the theme music of nearly every late 70s and 80s movie. Albeit some of those songs are all right.
I love those songs.
Yeah.
Footloose and Caddyshack. All right. Yeah, good stuff, man.
Those are, I mean, he does a great job. And the stuff he does for this movie is honest. Like Danger Zone's a kick-ass song. I'm not going to lie.
It is.
There's some good stuff there. Playing with the Boys, I could probably do without. But
that song's, yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
Look, that entire scene could probably
semi-erect. Yeah, it's that whole scene is just for the ladies, clearly, or something. I don't know what's going on.
Kind of like the movie Iron Eagle. There's some great throwback songs on here, right? Like You've Lost That Loving Feeling and Great Balls of Fire and Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. There's some classics, right? They don't hit as hard for me. Like as that one scene in Iron Eagle where just like, you know, played and Give Me Some Lovin'. But they're definitely classic scenes, right? I mean, Great Balls of Fire and You've Lost That Loving Feeling. Obviously, they're singing to the girl. But yeah, overall, and then there's the obvious Take My Breath Away. I've got to be honest, I've never been a fan of that song. I cringe.
Nor have I.
When I don't know why. And it's like, it's not, I don't know why I'm not a big fan of that song. Because when I say that to people, it's kind of like I trigger people. And people are like, how do you not like that song? And I'm like, I don't know.
Josh, I have a theory.
Yes.
Could it be during the egregious, over-the-top, slow-motion French kissing where you can see like the shadow of their tongues touching over it in like the most slow, bizarre-ass way during the lovemaking scene? That's like scarred me for life as a young kid. I'm like, I was watching going like, God, maybe it's already because I'm pissed because, like I said, I was not already a fan of Kelly McGillis in this movie, but it was just like, there was just things about it like, no, this is no. That whole song, every time I hear it, all I think about is gross, overly tonguey French kid, like middle school kids trying to make up.
I don't know. Lee, what are your thoughts on the music overall, man?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree that song is garbage. Take My Breath Away is a terrible song. I don't know why it became a hit, but it also might show why this movie was a bigger hit. It played to all audiences.
100%. 100%.
Well, Bruckheimer was a producer of it. And I was like, oh shoot, I should have known better.
And Ridley Scott and Tony Scott, like they were all, it was the beginning of that. Yep. But I got to backtrack on the music here first. You didn't mention the Top Gun anthem by Harold Faltermeyer.
That's great. That's great.
That song, especially at the beginning, the intro when they're just showing all that flight deck stuff, and it's just a boom.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. That opening scene that is just great.
And just the guitar, and I actually have a story about that one too. So when I worked at the Mariners in the mailroom, I had the CD, the Top Gun CD, and that was the last song on the disc. And so if you put it in the CD player, you could hit play and it would just quit after that. It wouldn't keep playing. And when I was in the mailroom at the end of the day, we would put that song on right at 5 and play it basically top volume so everybody in the office could hear it. And then we would leave the office, and like being nerds that everybody was, some people would like walk out and like salute us on our way out. And so it's just we'd be walking out of the Mariners, mailroom office, whatever. I think it was probably me and Stites, and then I think me and Iwata probably did that.
Shouldn't that have been the first song you play in the morning, though? Because like you starting off the movie or starting off the day.
But it also plays it at the end of the movie too. So
okay, you're right. You're right.
And that was one of the first times I ever learned on guitar. I remember when I took a guitar lesson when I was in probably, 6th grade, 7th grade. The first time I ever picked up a guitar, the guy was like, "Hey, what song do you want to learn?"
Top Gun.
And I brought in the Top Gun anthem. That
oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, you would, Lee.
Which, by the way, is a super easy song to play. But.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's great. So I know the soundtrack was a huge seller, probably for reasons that Ethan explained earlier with, it has the chick factor going on, right? I mean, everything about like the soundtrack of this one is, it's not the opposite of Iron Eagle as far as the soundtrack, but it definitely plays to a different kind of feel. You have, the guys, serenading the girls. You have the super Berlin singing Take My Breath Away, and they're playing it all throughout the movie, during all those, scenes with those two. And I saw that Berlin, they do that song, Take My Breath Away, and it was actually offered to the Motels. You guys remember that band, the Motels?
That's weird.
They had a couple of hits back in the.
Interesting. Yeah, we used to have them play at Fenders, sort of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the guy that was in the Motels that started the Motels started a band called Knucklehead, and they were our Wednesday house band.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had Knucklehead, who was
You can actually go online and hear their demo of that, which is very similar. I mean, I didn't even realize that. Basically, there was like a couple of people that wrote all the songs in this, including Kenny Loggins' song.
Oh, wow.
So
wait, they wrote the songs for the movie?
Yeah.
Essentially. Oh, wow. I thought these were just like, let's put some cool songs in, because that's what Iron Eagle did, was, hey, let's go find songs that are out in the world.
Yeah, it's not like that. Wow. No. Yeah, it's crazy. So the band singer, Martha Davis, she knew the song was going to be a huge hit. And she later said that this is such bullshit. She later said that she was happy that their version was passed over, because her and the band claimed that, well, they'd like to be more remembered for the songs that they wrote themselves. I'm like, that's such bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, stop.
We didn't want to get our
history.
Yeah, we didn't want to get our $1 million residual checks for the next 35 years.
You think Whitney Houston?
We want to be proud of the songs that we wrote. Yeah.
She's like, Whitney's like, man, I should have never done that Dolly Parton song. God, ruined my career.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. Some interesting tidbits about Top Gun. Due to the popularity of this movie, the U.S. Navy set up recruiting booths in major theaters and cinemas all across the United States to try to capture some of the pumped up dudes leaving the theaters, and God, did it work. I mean,
sounds really smart.
This movie, you get pumped up watching this movie, right? And especially back in the day when, like Lee said, there was really nothing going on, right? So and then the shots. I want to talk about this a little bit later, but I'll bring it up now because it goes with it. So just the shots, the way the cinematography of this movie is fantastic, right?
Unbelievable.
Like they're showing like the beach, like all the beach scenes of like, him and the motorcycle, lots of sunsets and beautiful shots. Like the opening shot that Lee was talking about, where he's like, I want that like red kind of like
golden red.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. And the heat coming off and
He actually, I guess that he cost, it was thousands and thousands of dollars to turn the ship around so he could get that shot. And
I'm sure. Like, so the sun would be in the right. Yeah.
He's like, he just wrote a check. Tony Scott was like, here's a check, buddy.
Wow.
So I think it has to be mentioned too, sort of the environment of this. Obviously, Iron Eagle didn't have any help from the Air Force, and so they had to go do it on their own. This turned into, whether they knew it was going to be a recruiting thing for the Navy or not, they cooperated. And it was sort of a shift. We weren't at war a lot during that period, but we were switching from sort of an interventionist foreign policy, like let's go here, let's go there, sort of expeditionary, to a naval based military and so the aircraft carriers and the naval aviation was growing massively at that time. So it's probably not a coincidence that Top Gun got the support and that they were trying to do that, because that was how we started to project our power out, was to put aircraft carriers all over the globe. And we started policing the world that way. Like that, I think that timing is pretty important to remember.
Check this out. This is a crazy stat. The U.S. Navy stated that the film's popularity resulted in a 500% increase in the number of recruits that wanted to join the aviation program. 500%.
Well,
I got a question for you, Lee. I got a question. How many people do you think Remember this?
Yeah.
Desert Storm.
Oh, yeah, I've got those.
So
Yeah,
how many people do you think
those.
were in this war?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
all of them. Anybody who was flying a jet in that war probably joined because of Top Gun.
Yeah.
Or one of the movies. Yeah. I mean,
had we not been 10 years old when this thing came out, how likely would we have been coming out of that theater to sign up?
Oh,
it's so important to mention how you mentioned the propaganda. These were kind of propaganda movies, even if they weren't designed that way. But like everybody talks about how they are influenced into doing major life shit by something as dumb as a movie.
Yep.
I think I've heard Evan mention he watched 3 Days of the Condor with Robert Redford, and that's why he became a spy.
Wow.
If we hadn't hit this period right in that spot, if I had graduated high school in 1986, I'd have joined the Navy. If 9/11 had happened when I was a senior in high school, I'd have joined the Army. Like, there's so many little things that happen, and it shows you how malleable we are and how sort of dangerous some of this stuff is. Because at that age, you can pretty much give your life over to something because you like the music.
Can you imagine you imagine how fucked up you'd be if your dad got shot down in the Middle East, and then you had to rely on your stupid ass friends like me and Ethan back in the day to help rescue your dad?
Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Lanny.
I think we get Lanny. I like our chances. I would come up with some sweet metal for us in the plane. That's all I could say.
I mean, who would be the tech guy? Would that be Frank Schmieder? Would he be like the computer?
No.
Who would it be?
It's because he was smart. Brent's probably the most tech savvy guy I know.
Okay.
Might be Kipling.
Yeah, I could see that.
What would Raceage's role be? Could he just talk them onto the satellite and just bore the Middle Eastern? That sounds mean. I'm just saying, we
understand what he's saying, but it's weird shit. We can't decode this.
They're like, I don't even. Is this some? They'd waste so much time trying to code break Johnny Racage.
Oh, God,
that would give us the window to fly in and rescue Lanny.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, the real question is, who would the chappie be? Would it be Lee Matlock?
Oh. I like this movie already.
Sketch. I love Lee. I'm just saying that might get a little sketch if he's chappy.
I can see that. Like my dad, he's very mild mannered, but once in a great while he'll get pissed off and then go off on you. Oh God, I guess I better.
Better
listen to
U.S.
this.
government isn't going to do this. Let's do this on our own. Yeah,
I like it.
Kansas City Barbecue, which is the place that they filmed the famous bar scenes at in the movie, that originally burned down in 2008.
I'm surprised more barbecue joints don't burn down.
I know, right? Well, it was funny because like a couple of years ago, the one up the road burned down, barbecue place, but everything burned down in that entire place except for the piano. So you can go visit the piano. They rebuilt it, Lee. So there you go.
Wow.
I mean, I'd just rather have the sandwich. I like barbecue. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
You've got a point.
So some reviews of this movie upon release. Roger Ebert, he gave the movie 2.5 out of 4 stars, saying that movies like Top Gun are hard to review because the good parts are so good and the bad parts are so relentless.
The flying footage in Top Gun is really terrific. There are 6 or 7 major dogfight sequences, and they are choreographed so well that most of the time we can actually even follow what's happening. It's when the movie is on the ground that it runs into trouble. The love story between Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis is not only unnecessary, it's unconvincing. You could see it there. There's none of the romantic chemistry that made her scenes with Harrison Ford so electrifying in Witness. The whole relationship in this movie seems to have been written in as an afterthought, and the other relationships are awfully predictable. There's the hero's best buddy, and the rival that he hates, and the old man, and the old-timer who knew his dad, and somehow we've been here before. So I give the movie thumbs down despite the great action sequences.
Well, and I give it thumbs up because of the great action sequences, because they are magnificent.
Yes, they are.
And they, as you say, these dogfights, I mean, this movie, and I think it's really a whole lot better than Firefox. And actually better than a film, I have to admit, one of my favorites, and yours too, The Right Stuff. I mean, this gives me a sense of what it is like to be in a plane, traveling at these speeds, doing the maneuvers that they do. And how they accomplish this, I don't know, but it is masterful. I'm sure it'll win Academy Awards on a technical level. It's spectacular. I can't emphasize that enough. The love story, you're right. It's ridiculous. It's a pale imitation of An Officer and a Gentleman. Ridiculous. But it is. I can't deny that.
That's right. And, of course, Officer and a Gentleman, which was so interesting in terms of relationships,
it would be
points
better.
out the weaknesses here. I'm telling you, I was sitting there in the theater like almost being hot and cold.
That's right. That's exactly right.
They'd be up in the air, and it would be so exciting, and I'd be like this, and then suddenly they're down on the ground, and who cares what they're talking about or what's happening?
That's the love story. The only thing that I would say, the relationship between the flight instructor, Tom Skerritt, who, you know, we haven't seen him in a good movie since MASH. That's back in 1970. Yeah. Gee, I wish he were doing more films. I'm glad he's in this one. That I thought was interesting. The love story, garbage, but the flight sequences, you know what they ought to do? This is the greatest advertisement for the U.S. Navy ever. They ought to have a recruiting officer in the lobby of every theater. They would sign people up. It's that exciting.
American film critic Pauline Kael commented, when McGillis is off screen, the movie is a shiny homoerotic commercial. And there's a lot of those in this movie, right? I mean, that's like half the people that talk about this movie now are talking about how, you know, it's very...
Was the director possibly gay? I'm just saying, this might have been his own little dream. He got to make into a film.
Isn't that the guy that actually jumped off that bridge and killed himself?
Tony Scott.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's Ridley Scott's brother.
Yikes, man. Yikes.
Sorry, I was just theorizing. I didn't realize I was hitting the
chord
there.
It is what it is. I mean,
it is true that the military is, or has historically been sort of a
Navy
bastion for a lot of gay dudes, because, you know, lots of other dudes.
Target rich environment.
Yeah. All right.
Well, maybe that was a recruiting tool. Maybe they're like, hey, let's put just enough homoeroticism in here that we get some good gay pilots.
Oh, who wants my pink torpedo?
Exactly. They're not going to get distracted by the Kelly McGillises. They're going to be out there learning the trade.
Yeah, that's why.
Maybe Kelly McGillis was a tactical decision, Josh.
There you go.
Oh, I get it now.
Thank you, Lee.
This whole thing just came together.
It's all come together. I'm totally rooting for Iron Eagle now.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. Okay, guys, Rotten Tomatoes gave this movie a 57% from the critics and 83% from the audience, who half of those actually went out and joined the Navy. So you can see why that happened. But Lee, what do you think of the overall movie?
It's so goddamn good. I you know, they're both cool movies, but that movie is so fucking good with the cinematography, the music, the character development, the story. It's so good. It's hard to even sort of put it in perspective for the budget that they did and the technicality of flying, you know, jets around and stuff. It's an amazing movie. And
I think that, like we were saying before, you know, how Iron Eagle was actually more. It costs more to make that movie, but
how is that possible? Some of those cheesy scenes when the planes explode, that looks so ridiculous.
Ethan, I think it's possible because they had access to the Navy, right?
Sure. It is. Yeah, no, I
had all their stuff.
Yeah, because Iron Eagle had to pay the Israeli military to use all their shit. The Navy was like, okay, we'll give you some stuff. Like, you can use it. So I imagine all the stuff that used actual Navy resources was probably a gift.
Can I ask too, like, what military advisor advised the people at Iron Eagle to think that machine gun fire apparently creates explosions and fire?
My God. Yes.
Like, oh my God, everything is shot.
It's like you're watching a video game, right?
It's so ridiculous.
That's part of what made Iron Eagle, like, they're just totally different movies, but it's sort of like that 80s thing with like Delta Force. You know, we're gonna put rockets on a motorbike and
Rambo.
Shoot it,
all those.
It's sort of that. Like, I mean, the
era before the
TV tower or the radio tower that falls on a tent and blows up like it was filled with gasoline.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. There's so many. But that movie was designed to be.
Any car that got in an accident back in the day, you know, that it just completely exploded.
Yeah,
it's like a mushroom cloud of an explosion.
Yeah. I think that's part of the appeal of Top Gun, though. Ultimately, is they didn't do any of that cheesy shit. Like, even the explosions and stuff weren't like huge gasoline explosions. They were kind of realistic. Like, they tried to be fairly real. I don't think they played to the superhero action side of it, and I think Iron Eagle did. But again, I think it was for the different category of people watching.
Ethan, how about you, man? What are your thoughts on this movie?
I love it. I'll be honest. It's just like Lee said. It's just a great movie. It's a movie that seeing it in the theater for the first time, and I can still remember being there with my sisters and cousins, and like Had just so much nostalgia, not to mention, other than, you know, the Tommy Boys and some of those other movies that are so quotable. I don't know that I quote this movie more. I mean, this probably is the most quoted movie that I use. And the funny thing is, because of its longevity, because, you know, dads have shown this to their kids, it's one that I still have kids understand what I'm saying when I say this in class, for example. Like a kid will ask to go to the bathroom. I'm like, negative Ghost Rider, the pattern is full. And the kids are like, whatever. And they kind of laugh and walk.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like so many, like he went this way, I went that way. Where'd he go? Where'd who go? You know, just like, having just
because I was inverted.
Yeah. You know, the bird.
You know what I remember watching? You know what I remember from as a kid watching this movie is thinking of how awesome the bars looked. And they were just only in that, you know, what, couple bars, I think, like that. But I just, everyone's having fun, drinking, singing songs to random chicks. I was like, this looks awesome, man. Everyone's having a good time. Like, this is great. Like, I can't wait to
beer
go to
commercials.
bars. See, like, I liked, especially, you know, being as young as we're going to love all the action scenes with the fighter jets and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Obviously, that's going to be just the coolest thing in the world. And any movie that has any of that in it, you're going to love. But yeah, just kind of like stuff like that, where it's like, you know, it's like, I think this is the first movie that Tom Cruise actually rode his bike in too. Like he rode a bike the first time he rode a motorcycle in too. So every movie since, he's been on a motorcycle.
Cool.
I didn't know that.
I have some trivia. I have some Top Gun and Iron Eagle trivia. You guys want to play?
I'm ready.
All right.
Slider.
Wait, how do we buzz in?
You stink.
You just, I don't know.
We just talk over each other like normal.
Yes.
Done and done.
All right. So can you name, either one of you, the motorcycle that Tom Cruise rides?
Indian.
No, it's not.
I don't know. I don't know anything about motorcycles.
No, as I recall, it was like a Gixxer 500 or something, a GSXR 500. It was like before the, anyway, Suzuki GSXR.
According to my records, I had the Kawasaki Ninja 900 GPZ 900 blah blah.
Niner.
Yeah.
I thought, man, if it is, I always thought that was a Gixxer. I don't know.
I don't know.
Which it could. I mean, I love the Ninja.
At the time of production, they said it was the fastest motorcycle in the world, and apparently he had never ridden a motorcycle until this time. And yeah,
I don't think he rode the motorcycle much in the movie. I think it was on a trailer most of the time. But
right, yeah. I guess.
I mean, you know, as I'm thinking about this, I think you're right. I think it was a Ninja because I remember having.
Well, I'm not right.
When I was younger.
I didn't come up with it.
Well, no. But like as I'm digging deep into my sort of remembering this thing, one of the reasons that I ended up getting it because my bike was a Ninja, it was a Kawasaki Ninja. It was a ZX6RR. And I remember saying to somebody, "Yeah, it's the same bike as Tom Cruise."
Oh, that's funny.
You know? So it probably was a Ninja. Yeah, I remembered it being a Gixxer, but yeah, that does bring up something though. Both of these movies had motorcycles.
Yeah.
I did not really identify with the street bike in Top Gun as a kid. I definitely loved the motorcycle in Iron Eagle because that's the motorcycles I had. Like I had XR100s, XR80s, like all the, and they were always the Hondas, exactly like that one. He had like a Honda Enduro, probably like a 125 or something, or maybe not an Enduro, like an XR125 is the one that Notcher rides through the snake. And that's exactly the bike I was riding at exactly that moment in time. I had those dirt bikes. So
it was Notcher 35 when he was in high school. That's a
totally right.
At the time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So one person that I did not name off while I was going through the cast of these two movies, there's one famous actor who was considered for a main role in both Top Gun and Iron Eagle and actually starred in one of these movies. Can you name that person?
Wow. So somebody and a major role, or are we talking like somebody who, you know, stood at the gate?
Major
military base.
Major role.
Wow.
Louis Gossett Jr. is Goose. Just joking.
You got it partly as
Viper.
Viper. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have worked. That totally
would have worked.
Yeah. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
And it would have been a really great sort of bookend for him. I mean, to be Viper and Chappie, come on.
Right. Okay, just a couple more. Well, a few more here. So, can you guys name the only other actor in Top Gun who didn't vomit while flying up in the fighter jets? There's only one actor. Well,
Val Kilmer.
Michael
Val Kilmer
Ironside.
is kind of right because Val Kilmer never actually flew in the fighter jets. I believe he refused.
Oh.
But-
Oh, okay. He sounds like he was tough to work with. Anyway.
I know. Ethan, you have a guess, buddy?
That's Michael Ironside.
This would be Anthony Edwards.
Oh,
Apparently, that shit didn't affect his ass. He's like, nope, I'm fine.
probably why they had to kill him.
You guys want to get some food out of this? Do you guys know how many times the song Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins is played in the film?
Once, right?
20 plus.
The song is actually played 3 times, which is
3.
more than any other song, which is weird because I thought that Berlin would have been played. I think that's played
I
at
think it's
least
played
twice.
every second.
Wow.
But, okay, how old do you think Lou Gossett Jr. was during the filming of this movie?
He had to
52.
be mid-50s, right? 55?
49 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Almost as old as us now, sadly.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The real Top Gun school actually imposes a fine to any staff member that quotes the film on campus.
As they should.
How much is that fine?
25 cents. Because they got to let people do it. Otherwise, why the fuck are you joining the Navy?
I'm going to say
I
$5.
get that it's annoying, but also, come on. You guys have those jets because of all the recruits.
I mean, you're both right. It's not that much money, but Ethan, you nailed it. It's $5.
Bam! Like a swear jar.
Oh, it's hilarious. Okay, and then can either of you provide the original title of the movie Iron Eagle during pre-production?
Original.
It's pretty deep.
Deep cut here.
Yeah. You want me to just tell you?
Chappie and the Kids.
Dude, he nailed it again. No, I just joking. It was actually
Operation Bomb Libya.
It was actually called Junior Eagle, which, boy, I'm glad.
Thank God they changed that.
No. Oh gosh. All right. So, okay. All right. So, guys, what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna give our picks, man. So, the movies they're pretty different, but they're similar too, right? I mean, they both came out in '86, both about fighter pilots, both about the military. Lee, what are your thoughts on these two movies, and what's your take, and who's your pick?
Well, I gotta say, when I brought this topic up to Jewel, she said, "Please God, be an Iron Eagle, man." And at the time, before I watched them both, I was like, "Oh, totally." Because if you had asked me, before we rewatched these things, if you had asked me which of these movies I thought was the better movie that I enjoyed more, I would have said Iron Eagle. And this is a great opportunity. Let me make this a lesson for anybody deciding to look back on history. Analyzing it today, there's no chance that Top Gun isn't the better movie. It's way, way better. It's for all the audiences. It has better character development, better cinematography, better music, better everything. The reason I loved Iron Eagle when I was a kid was because I was a kid, and it was the Goonie factor. It was the thing that I could envision myself doing that with my friends. But looking back, there's a reason Top Gun made all the damn money. It's the better movie by far. And I hate to say that because, look, I'm even wearing my cutoff hoodie like Doug Masters.
Oh, dude, that's amazing. What?
Yeah.
I thought you were just channeling
go to
Bill
the scene where
Belichick.
he's talking to Chappie. He's talking to Chappie on the tarmac about this. He's wearing his cutoff hoodie that I have specifically for this. I wore this for a reason.
And you got your
I love
fresh
Iron
high
Eagle.
tight cut going. Doug doesn't have that.
Except he had a mop, but I can't
Right.
grow a mop anymore. I'm old.
Well, yeah,
But-
that's the 80s.
But that's the thing is, I would have loved to stick with my idea that Iron Eagle was the better movie, which I've held for 30 years. But it's not. Top Gun is the way better movie.
All right.
Just way better.
There it is. Lee goes with Top Gun. And Ethan, how about you, buddy? What's going on over there?
I think Lee said exactly my sentiment. Like I loved Iron Eagle. And if you would have asked the 10-year-old Ethan when these movies came out, or I probably saw Iron Eagle probably a year or two later when it was on Cinemax or HBO, I probably would have picked Iron Eagle in my mind, except like I said, there's just so many iconic moments. And like I said, I don't quote Iron Eagle 10,000 times. And given part of the problem is because it wasn't maybe as a huge box office success as Top Gun, there's a reason why you don't see it on TNT and TBS to nauseum levels or whatever. But regardless of the fact that those lines still stick in my head and I quote it. And like I said, I'll probably give the overall soundtrack to my taste to Iron Eagle, but the music is still so legit in Top Gun and so iconic, especially that theme music, as Lee talked about. I think it's tough to just pick Top Gun because it's a movie that whenever I've been flipping channels or whatever, if I go by it, it's like I can't stop or skip it. I have to stay and I have to watch the rest of Top Gun. And there's not many movies that hold that kind of power over me. Top Gun does. And maybe it's the homoeroticism and I need to get that checked out. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be. That could be. Now,
seeing those aviators is getting me excited, Josh. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I went with the little outfit here. No, but everything about Top Gun, almost everything across the board is better than Iron Eagle. And it's not even really debatable, right? It's not debatable. The only thing that I would say, it's a personal preference. So I've always kind of been more of like the father-son or the father-daughter movies where it's like, it brings a different kind of emotion out in somebody. And look, the movie's cheesy. I get it. But, we're talking like, movies like Field of Dreams or The Godfather, like Taken or Commando, or, you know what I mean? These movies where you're like, you get enraged and you just feel that that connection. Right. I think so that's why I've always kind of leaned more to Iron Eagle. The love story that Ethan was talking about earlier, I think that kind of watching that later, I didn't realize how much of this was just those freaking two. And the chemistry is not great to me on that with those two. I don't know. Maybe I heard rumors that they didn't really get along great. I think they got along, but I don't think it was like one of those things where like they ended up dating afterwards, where you see sometimes you see that like on screen. What, Ethan?
Well, I was just say, I would argue that the better love story is the one between Goose and Mav, and just that relationship and the loss. To me,
true. That
completely overrides the Kelly McGillis, that brotherhood once again,
totally.
and trying to once again honor and never forget his brother. And, it was just that to me overrode because I don't disagree at all. The chemistry was not great. Like I said, from the minute I saw her, I'm like, come on. But even their chemistry was like forced, it felt like.
I don't think Tom Cruise knew about that at the time. He just joined the Navy for different reasons.
Hey, remember though, there is a father-son thing with Top Gun 2.
There is,
because he's trying to chase the legacy of his dad, and then Tom Skerritt tells him about the story that was classified, and he gets sort of that vindication of knowing that his dad wasn't a fuck up. So
true, but then you have the Chappie factor, right? And Chappie is really strong in this movie, and I don't know. Visually, Top Gun, I mean, it takes the cake. It's, just, everything's better, which is crazy because, as we mentioned, Iron Eagle costs more, but Iron Eagle has the overall better soundtrack. Lee's talking about the Goonie factor. Yes, I like Doug Masters because I was like, yeah. I wasn't a punk kid, but I could see being a little Air Force brat, being all cocky and stuff like that. And he's like he's all like a rebel, and Maverick's a rebel too, right? What I wanted to discuss with you guys, the thing that I noticed most, I'm going off on a tangent here. The thing I noticed most about watching Top Gun as an adult is Val Kilmer's the good guy in this movie. Val Kilmer is the good guy. I was watching this. I'm like, when I was watching this as a kid, I hated Val Kilmer. He's a dick. But now I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, he's like, dude, that you're being an asshole out there. He's like, just everything about like Val Kilmer to me. I was like, I'm kind of coming around on Val Kilmer on this. Like,
gotta love the Iceman.
Yeah, but he's a rule follower. And that goes against, like, he can't be the good guy in the movie because the entire movie is both movies are about people breaking the rules.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, he's He's the guy.
But I'm just saying, I didn't realize that when I was a kid. I was like, yeah, I hate this guy. I mean,
he's because he's the rule follower. I mean, you can't say he's the good guy. He's the dude that's doing things kind of by the book.
But he's the real military.
He's not the good guy. The good guy is the one that pushes it and does things outside the lines to get the job done, right? Because that's both of these movies.
You wonder though, how much did the Navy have to offset the Maverick personality and going, hey, dickhead, stop trying to pretend you're Maverick and do your freaking job, because that's all the military is about. You don't get to go lone wolf it at all. You're going to end up dead. Right. I mean, and not to mention killing your, so that's the thing. It's like, he is the genuine military guy who, once again, doesn't spell well out to maybe Hollywood movies, but is a lot more legitimate to what the military is actually looking for, as a team player who does their job well and handles that $1 million equipment with respect.
Remember though, that's how they end the movie, is he comes back to the book. He goes back to being the wingman who doesn't leave. He started as the Maverick individualist, and they took all those skills, and then the military honed him into a team player where he could use those skills for the whole team.
Or did Iceman do it himself by all of his little lectures with him? I think
it took his friend to die and him to have I don't know. But okay, so there's a couple of scenes that I just thought of this. There's a couple of scenes that really stick out in Iron Eagle. The first one is when when they're riding the racing on the snake. It's time to race the snake. And the dude on the motorcycle, he takes a shortcut, and then Doug Masters still has to follow him.
Right.
Dude, you're in an airplane.
Yeah, just go over the hill. Just go over the hill. You can do it. And then airplanes are for to go over mountains.
And then you have the scene where the friends are at the finish line holding up the things, and they're they're not 15 feet apart.
Those scenes, there are a couple of scenes in that flight in those scenes where he's racing the motorcycle.
Oh, dude.
Some of the flying in that is fucking unreal.
It is crazy. The stunt guy is that.
Yeah, he's coming. Well, isn't that, you mentioned the stunt guy, Art Scholl. I looked that dude up afterwards. He was the stunt guy during that whole thing. And then he died on Top Gun in a camera plane.
It's crazy.
So yeah, but it also brings up, every time I watch Iron Eagle specifically, I'm reminded of how good the stunts were in the 80s, specifically the flying stunts.
That's
why
CGI.
you watch old episodes of the A-Team and everything. The helicopter stunts in all those 80s movies are insane. And there's a reason, because all the guys that came out of Vietnam who learned how to fly really ridiculously in sort of a no rules environment, or at least not a very highly regulated one in Vietnam, they got these crazy skills. And then they got out, and in the 70s and 80s, there was a lot of pilots who were looking for work, and they ended up in Hollywood. So some of those flying stunts are goddamn insane. They're just, and also, could you imagine anybody green lighting some people standing on either side of a fucking runway with banners and a toilet paper thing while an airplane flies between them these days?
I wouldn't have been 200 yards from that spot.
Right. They wouldn't do, and then also he really does flying. He bounces and does flying in there is fucking. And he's also if you notice, he's flying with his flaps down.
Yeah.
So he can be slow enough to be next to the motorcycle. That's not super safe, because you go slow, you fall.
Was that Doug Masters at our graduation when someone buzzed the graduation at Ebert?
Someday somebody has to find that video, right? Somebody has that video.
Completely insane. I mean, I wish people had iPhones back then, but they don't.
Yeah.
Somebody has to have a video.
Somebody had to be filming it, right? Yeah, definitely.
Because that dude came in below light towers.
Didn't they follow him down to Oregon? They followed that guy.
Yeah, whoever it was, I remember they got in trouble and lost their license. Yeah,
so crazy. Yeah, so I was talking. I have this wall of movies on vinyl that I have, and I have them all displayed on a big wall. And I was pointing them out to Eric and Jen one night, and Jen's like, "I've seen all those movies except for that one. What is that movie?" And I was like, "It's Iron Eagle. You never seen Iron Eagle?" She's like, "No, never seen it at all." And I was like, "All right, we're gonna watch it." She goes, "All right." So put it in, and not only did she like the movie, but she fucking loved the movie. And I think, to me, it's just so 80s. It's so over the top 80s. Top Gun is 80s, right? But it's very you feel like you're in a military environment. The other one is a
80s
mix
cheese.
of both. Yeah. And I don't know. I just, along with the soundtrack, the cheesiness and Chappie. I love Chappie. I love Chappie in this movie. I'd have to go with Iron Eagle. So,
Well, Josh, we can't leave this without stating the fact that you made me the Chappie tape, if you recall. I had the tape that with Chappie. You literally recorded it from the movie onto a tape that I had in my car. And I have the tape still. Fortunately, it does not work. It melted or something.
You still
But
have the tape?
What the fuck would you play it on anyway?
Yeah, it was in my green machine because I transferred it from the Colt. If you remember the old Dodge Colt, that shrunken head of a minivan, godforsaken piece of garbage I used to own. But I actually had it. And I just, to me, it's still one of the most impressive things anyone's ever made for me, because the time and energy it took for you to record parts of Chappie's speech from the movie too, it just blew me away, man. Well, it was one of my favorite things I ever owned.
Yeah, I think for entertainment value, if someone could watch that movie in 2021 is when we watched that, I believe, and you still think it's awesome. Again, she's an 80s kid. So yeah. I'm still in the minority here. So, but I'm glad I am, because this is why we're having this conversation.
So
I get it, buddy.
Speaking of when you watch this and how, you say, oh, if you can watch this in 2021 and still have it be a good movie. I think it can also be said, if you watch this in 2022, you're watching an 80s movie with Iron Eagle. The 80s are clear in Iron Eagle. But if somebody bonked you on the head and then put Top Gun in front of you and fixed the motorcycle, a couple of the things that give away the date, I think Top Gun survives as a movie that you would believe today.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. I like the
well,
80s.
I want to be on Team Iron Eagle. Let's make that clear. I wish I was still on Team Iron Eagle, but
I'm on Team Jewel, I guess.
What's that?
I'm Team Jewel.
Yeah, no,
I almost sounded creepy.
I mean, I hope she doesn't watch this episode, or this might be the end of the contract. You never know. She might be like, I thought I was with an Iron Eagle, man.
Null and void.
What contract do you guys have?
Apparently it's stipulated
contractually obligated,
on Iron Eagle love, and now that might be over. Look what you've done, Josh.
You never know what holds people together.
Closing question for you guys. Are you excited for the sequel? Are you going to go see it in the theater?
No. I don't give a fuck about that.
I'm sure it'll be a great action movie. I'm sure.
Will it be, though? They're probably going to use a bunch of CGI.
Will they bring back the songs, the original songs, or are they going to country them up for 2022?
I sure hope they don't change the theme music, because that would be
bow, bow, bow.
Berlin better go away. Are they going to bring back Kelly McGillis? What does she look like?
I saw an interview with her. She said, I'm too old and I'm too fat, and nobody's called me. So I'm like, okay, well, here we go.
I mean, I'm too old and too fat. That's like, that happens. It's cool.
I'd still do you, Lee.
Well, I mean, sure, you have low standards. So
is Meg Ryan coming back? I mean, look, are they going to be realistic about this? Because if they're being realistic about this, pretty much nobody would be there, right? It's just going to be.
If they're being realistic, then he has to play Viper, right? Like, he's the new.
He is the Viper.
Is that what he is?
Yeah, okay. He's the one running.
That's the only way it works. It's the only way it works is he joins the Navy, he goes to Top Gun, and then he goes to war in 91, and then sticks around for war, 2001 to 2021.
I believe Miles Teller is in it, and he plays Goose and Meg's son, and he is in the Top Gun program.
All right.
So good. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll probably see it.
Yeah, exactly. Will we see it? Of course.
Out of curiosity, I just got to see. I mean, am I expecting a lot out of it? No. But
am I going to be standing in line for an hour? Well, that doesn't happen anymore. But
yeah, I was know what
the hell are you talking about? It's probably going to be on HBO Max in a week.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's just a money grab, right? I mean, they should have never made a sequel to many of these movies back in the day. I mean, there's how many Iron Eagles are there? There's like 10 Iron Eagles. I don't know. I don't even
really.
It'd be a lot cheaper if they were honest about it, because they wouldn't have to pay actors, because they're all drones now. So you just fly a bunch of drones around. You don't have to show pilots and shit. Show a guy in a fucking Connex container just going.
Okay, well, hey, we accomplished absolutely nothing today, guys. No.
It's like every day.
It was a good discussion, and I'm glad that we were able to have you guys on and talk about the good old days and these two iconic movies from 1986. Gotta love these 80s movies, right? So this is the first movie battle of the series here. So hopefully there'll be a lot more to come here. So
I mean, the First Blood series needs an entire workup. Same as the Rocky series.
So you think that there should be more First Blood movies that come out?
Oh no, I think we need to analyze.
Okay.
Series.
So which movies? We
could go head to head with First Blood, though.
First Blood and Commando. What are you talking here?
Whoa!
See, I was actually that's a better way to do it. Yeah, like we need to start comparing movies 1-to-1,
or how about
within a trilogy or a?
How about just Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s and Arnold
alone?
I mean, we could basically say greatest 80s action hero, and that's a debate because you got to count, Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It's really just down between Stallone and Schwarzenegger, bro. Come on. Those other guys are great.
Hold on. John McClane makes it in there by 1 year. Die Hard was 1989. So if you guys are saying John McClane,
he's doing Moonlighting for
no. Sorry. So that's a great movie. No.
You think that?
I'm just saying
that puts him in the running for the.
Yes. We'll get some suggestions from the people too, man. Put a comment or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, give us a like, give us a follow. Make sure to subscribe and give your comments because we want to hear them. What is your favorite?
Suggestions for my hair because I almost cut it all off again today. I'm running out of years where I can grow any kind of hair.
Just either cut it off or go full Doug Masters.
Well, I mean, it kind of is a mohawk.
It is kind of a mohawk. Just save the rest of the just cut a mohawk in, and we'll talk about that next time we bring in Mr. T in part of the conversation there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running out of days with hair, so yeah, put in the comments whatever the fuck kind of hair you want me to cut in.
All right,
like Bert from Bert and Ernie.
All right, gentlemen, thank you again for coming on. Really appreciate it, and we'll have to do it again. So, for Ethan McDonald and Lee Olson, I'm Josh, and as always, thank you for being a friend.